Alright, so two things. One, I apologize for the hairdo. I just got done doing a video game confession. Two, bullshit, Varric's a bad guy. No! No!
Called it.
That's like my favorite character. We're watching this, and this is the Sting. I mean, obviously. We're watching this. I'm just like, well, the bad guy, the one that steals all the robots and stuff. I'm like, this can't be Tarlok 2.0 because I'm like, no, that's too obvious. It has to be someone else. So I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be cool if it was the father? Like, wouldn't that be just the biggest twist and everything?
And I'm just like, you know what? I think I was like, it could be Varric because I'm like, he would want Asami to be working with him. You know, he would want, and then you were just like, no, I don't know. It's like, it'd be much cooler if it was the father, and I was like, I hate to sound like...
And then they're showing the robot detonators and stuff. I'm like, no.
Well, I remember telling you, I was like, I hate to sound like this, but considering the way the season's been running so far, I'm not sure the show is smart enough to have it be as twisty as the father.
But why Varric? Why? I love Varric. The artist formerly known as Howard Hughes, and they're making him more Howard Hughes with the sort of the Flash Gordon and the Nanook of the North combination, and it's great, and it's
Nut-Tuck of the North, Nut-Tuck of the South.
Yeah, they start combining with like the Batman serials too and stuff.
Nut-Tuck, hero of the South.
Oh, that was so
That was
funny.
my favorite part of the episode.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe he's not. Maybe he's not in on it. Maybe Julie is the mastermind, like going behind his back and stealing this stuff. Wouldn't that be a twist? Like a twist on top of a twist, but they're probably not going to do it.
Could be, but...
That'd be so great. No one would see it coming. It'd be totally justified.
Well, here's the thing, though. He's been really funny so far, so can you imagine him as a villain?
No, I guess that's why it's such a good, the twist, you know, but... I don't know.
It wasn't that much of a twist. I was actually suggesting
I know. I mean, it's like, it makes sense.
Yours, I thought, was the much better twist. Like, this whole time it was Korra's father. I'm like, wow, that would be twisted and heartbreaking. And good idea, Doug. They're never going to do it. But
no, it's not like, hey, it's too obvious. Not that it's too obvious. It's just that I liked the character too much. I don't want him to be a bad guy. He's too funny as a good guy.
By the way, I love the scene where Mako comes and he's like, don't worry, I know who it is. And he like just looks at him, he's like, and I'm really close. Yeah, I'll talk to you later, Asami. I'm like, subtle? Why don't you just paste it on and be like, hey, I know it's you.
If I ever come in the middle of a conversation, somebody's like, you know who did? I'm like, I know. And I'll get to the bottom of it. Just assume I know it's you, okay?
Gotcha.
So, because I know we constantly plot against each other. But, okay, I'd say, like, aside from that, let's talk about the rest of the episode. Well, actually, again, we gotta talk about the ending. Because the biggest part was the second ending.
Okay, so interesting question. Did you miss Korra all that much?
Honestly, no.
Halfway through it, I'm just like, well, I haven't seen any Korra, and I'm like...
I'm kind of okay.
Do I miss her? I'm like, this is really sad, but I was like, not really. The rest of the episode, even though it's kind of fillery, is interesting enough without her.
I was enjoying
I never thought I'd say that, but...
But now, I will say this. The angle that they're taking now, don't botch it up. I guess because I'm one of the few people possibly that actually likes amnesia stories. I like that someone has to relearn stuff and looking at themselves from a totally different point of view.
I find them insufferable unless handled right. And
but that's what they have to be handled right. They can be handled right.
I'm not against this idea entirely, but I'm like, oh, tread carefully, because...
Oh, I've seen it botched up more times I've seen it done well, but I think if done right, it can be done so well. So
my only argument is I just figured she had amnesia already because it seems like whatever happened in the first season. I'm like, it's almost like the first season didn't happen at all. And she wakes up and she's like, "Who's Korra?" And there's a part of me and I'm just like, really? So we're gonna do this twice now? Because we've just done it already.
Yeah, it would have been better if it just started off, with her waking up, just, what's going on? Oh, okay, I better learn all my lessons again. And it's like, yeah, it's exactly.
But another part of me is just like, great, if we start from ground zero now, maybe we can do it right from the beginning.
Well, and then you had an interesting thought about wouldn't it be cool if the show actually opened up with her having amnesia?
Yeah,
and
like
the rest is a flashback.
When it cut to the scene and she wakes up and like, who's Korra? I seriously was just like, oh, they did this all backwards. Why didn't they just open up this entire season with that one scene? Open it up on the beach with the Fire Nation guys. We're here to help you, Avatar. Who's the Avatar? I would have been hooked.
Cut back.
Yeah, and then literally like, how did you get here? And she'd be like, I don't remember. And then make the rest be a flashback. It would have made so much more sense.
I would have been with her more.
Yeah, because I would have been like, okay, this is what drove her to this point. And I'm not a huge like, oh, it has to be done like a Christopher Nolan film where it's backwards and out of order. And a lot of times,
if it helps.
Yeah, a lot of times it's a cheap gimmick. But in this case, I think it really would have saved this season a lot because you would have been like, okay, how did we get to this point? And then you can see the crazy decisions she made, and you're just like, okay, so that's how she ended up on a beach in the middle of an island. And
but that, I mean, I don't know if we can like blame the show for that. That's just more, hey, wouldn't it have been cool, if they did that.
I think it would have been a lot better because the linear storytelling this time around, because we went through season 1 and season 2, I mean, this has been the biggest gripe we've had. It's kind of like, I don't feel like we've progressed anywhere. Well, now we might actually be, I'm like, okay, well, now you can start from ground zero.
And again, I mean, I think with even the filler episodes in Avatar and even Korra season 1, you kind of accept it because, again, you know what the big focus is, you know what the big driving force is, and sometimes you acknowledge you need a break, you need a filler episode. And here, again, maybe because the focus is not as, or at least what they're fighting for is not as strong or not as focused, the filler episodes are becoming a little bit more noticeable, but I will say they're still fun. This was still a fun episode.
And it does do a trick I love, which is, it's the trick Silence of the Lambs did, where I remember Jonathan Demme used to talk about how, like, yeah, we lose all our principal characters for 15 minutes of film. That happens very rarely. I
like it
when Hannibal escapes, you lose Hannibal, you lose Clarice Starling, and you're stuck with a bunch of side characters. And if done right, it's actually really cool, and I think this really did it right.
Well, the downside is that you're kind of glad to be gone with the character in this one.
To me, that's been the problem with the show. Like Mako. How much more interesting is Mako now?
Yeah,
Mako and Asami, although I laughed because I'm like, oh, so now those two are at it again. So I'm like, wait a second, we're just doing the love triangle all over again.
Oh, God, yeah, that's right. And then she kisses him, and it's like, oh, come on. And then he broke up with her.
Honestly, I think Mako should just stay with Asami. I was like,
anyone would say
the
that.
5 minutes in this episode they shared together was more interesting than anything that's gone on with Korra and Mako so far.
Well, you didn't like seeing Korra and Mako argue over and over, him being totally legit and understanding, and her just being a whiny little bitch. I hate talking that way about her, but she is this season because she hasn't learned, and it's not fun. But maybe they'll make this fun now with the amnesia thing. Maybe, like, trying to regain her senses, she'll realize, like, hey,
I wonder if this is their attempt at a reboot. Just like, you know what, with season 1 it was good, but we wrote ourselves into a corner now. If we give her amnesia, we just start over from the beginning. Total reboot.
And like I said, which, I'm sorry with you, I'm both really afraid of the amnesia, but I'm also cautiously optimistic because I think so much can be done with it. And I like it when it's done right, but I've so rarely seen it done right. So I will ask this too, with all the constant, has the city just gone insane with like the main characters going to the gangsters and stuff like that? I'm like, okay, this is still somewhat trying to be for kids, right? Because now it's just like, kids, if stuff gets too hard or difficult and the world's not on your side, start a war or go to the mafia. I'm like, and the whole world is with it. Like, I don't get it.
No, I have a problem with, I mean, we've already talked about Korra took stupid pills along the way and she's in her own little world, but it's amazing how they wrote such strong, interesting characters in the first season. And now we've got the opposite. The strong, interesting characters have become sidelined or just gotten dumb, while the ones that we kind of had issues, like Mako was the one last season I was like, this is the weakest, and now he's
now he's like the more sensible.
But what a great character Lin Bei Fong was, and what have they done to her? Did she take stupid pills since she got
something
back?
Smart out! You B-rate cop who only saved the world last time.
Nothing but a beat cop. Get the fuck out. I'm like, what? And these two very obviously, like, crooked kind of,
Yeah.
freaking like Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah, no, they're like the
Fro and the Mustang.
They're like the Ace Ventura cops, the ones that are just like, oh, what are you gonna do, Mr. Ventura?
They're just like something out of The Simpsons. Like, you watch too many detective movies, Sax. Take him away, toys.
What'd you say, Chief?
Do as the kid says. Like, I'm like, Lin Beifong was such a great character, just watching her be stupid.
Yeah,
and this season is just like, I'm just scratching my head like, is this the same person from season 1 who only got outwitted, it seemed to me, when like, really like, Amon was pretty smart and like was seriously 12 steps ahead, but like, these two idiot goofs she's got working for her, and
like, they're right.
Like,
you get
they're right. You out. And what?
It seems like all the aggressive characters, all the characters that are like going forward and like going behind people's backs and stuff like that. It's like they know viewers, as you know, and very much children seeing that stuff, but there has to be something you identify with, and there has to be an intelligence to it. There's no intelligence to the aggression in this show. That's what really shocks me. And they were so good at it the other seasons.
Somebody was saying in the comments that I came off as like chauvinistic. I'm like, I don't know. To me, it's the opposite. I think all the female characters have just like, with the exception of Asami, but now Asami's being tricked by Varric, so, I mean, but it just seems like they've had, I don't know, like they've sucked out the intelligence, and like, particularly Lin Beifong and Korra are just like, and they were so strong.
No, the only characters that are like, hey, they still have this sort of like this, honestly, this intelligence is, Mako's now, like you say, he's really sensible now, and all the Tenzin side stories that don't seem to have much to do with anything, at least he's staying out of it. He's smart enough to stay out of it.
I missed that. I'm like, oh, can't I see them train the lemurs some more?
Yeah, just that's a bad sign when that's more interesting than your main plot.
I think it's a bad sign when the side plots are more, because I was actually kind of with this episode. I'm like, all right, what's going on? I was like, let's see Mako investigate. I liked the stupid short film they did.
Oh God, that was hilarious.
Nut Tuck. God, that was priceless.
Bolin's always been stupid, so that, it's fun seeing him be stupid and get his ego fed.
I've given up on the whole Bolin Asami thing. Like, I thought, well, that might be interesting. They're like, no, they're just gonna make.
No, they're gonna throw her back with Mako again.
I'd be fine with that if they. My only thing is like, then why didn't you just do that in the first place? But I don't know. I'll tell you this though. If he gets together with Asami again and then breaks up with her again to go back to Korra, I'm walking. I'm out. Because I'm like, yeah.
I still want to see one of the lemurs and the fire ferret get together. And then they have a love triangle with the flying buffalo. Because that would be interesting.
And then you'd have a fluffalo.
Yes. It'd be much more interesting than any of the love triangle bullshit they're still trying to pull off.
I don't know,
Okay, so, I mean, people are probably going to think, like, we really hate this show now, and I don't...
No, actually, I thought this was better than the last episode.
Yeah, and I guess...
and it's an interesting hook. I wish they had done it at the beginning of the season, but okay, that's a cool hook.
No, my thought on the season so far, and again, could all come together, I don't know, but... is that it's still interesting, but it seems much more interested in the side stories and the side characters than it does its main character and its main story. And I don't think that's a good thing. But I like the side story and I like the side characters, but I wish it was more focused on the keyword being main story and main character.
I'll tell you what my problem is. The first season, I thought overall, and you can go on and on about I hate pro bending, but even with pro bending as a way to instruct Korra how to do teamwork and to introduce Mako and Bolin, the first season I thought was really tightly written. We've got a clear villain. We have a political movement. It was very tight. Like, they crammed a lot in there and it worked. This one...
It's all over the place.
Yeah, I feel like it's like we're 6 episodes in and it's just everywhere. We've got Desna and the other twin. We've got Unalak. We've got Varric now.
Tenzin stories.
You know what? I feel like it's the difference between watching like The Dark Knight versus The Dark Knight Rises. Where it's like The Dark Knight's the really tight story, and it's pretty well put together despite an issue or two.
And then the Dark Knight, 5 Dark Knights.
Yeah, and then The Dark Knight Rises is just like everywhere and all over the map, and it's like, yeah, it's all right, but it's kind of like it's like I feel like there's just been a lot of just taking their damn time. Like when I'm like, you did everything so quickly, like in the first season, that to just kind of just like take your time and all of these little side stories that aren't quite adding up, like. The Varric said it, the whole ship thing in this one was cool, but again, it's almost like the war in the last episode where it's like we've been promised something and then nothing's delivered.
I want my war!
Okay, so Varric's a bad guy, that's cool, but we just wasted an entire episode on a boat to get there.
Yeah. Which, I mean, again, it's cool. I mean, the season's still cool, but it's like... Yeah, it's like I'm missing the meat of it, you know, the main stuff. Like I said, the main story.
Well,
and
and
the main
she
character.
gets swallowed by a giant spirit.
Yeah,
and
whatever.
Now she wakes up on a beach. Like
spit her out, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I thought we were gonna get more of like the spirit, you know. And again, I'm totally fine if they take a break from her. I mean, even if I liked the character right now, I'd still be okay if they took a break for her. Because I'm with you. I like it when they take a break from the main character and focus on the side characters. But it does very clearly show one of the main problems is that we would so much rather watch these side characters do practically nothing than our main character.
You had a great line when Unalak shows up at the South Pole spirit tree, whatever, with the bright light. The second he shows up, he's just like, oh yeah, spirit world stuff.
This one's called Spirit.
Unalak, yeah. Oh yeah. Like Unalak, I'm like, that's right, we haven't even seen our main villain like doing anything. I think we had one battle plan where he's like, we should do this. No, my brother will be kept busy for a while. Now cut to another scene!
Yeah. So, which again, is fine if it still either really kept the focus, either the focus of the story, the main story has to be in check, or the main character has to be in check. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm referencing this. In the new show Sleepy Hollow, which is surprisingly entertaining as hell.
I got you hooked.
It's like one of the most fun shows you'll see all year, and it's stupid as shit. It's so stupid.
I swear to God, he didn't believe me, and I wouldn't have believed it either, but it's actually a good show.
But the Headless Horseman has disappeared for like 3 episodes now. But that's the main character, the main focus, right? But they're A, still talking about the main focus, and B, you still have your main characters,
and they're
you're
still
interested.
telling a plot.
Yeah, and you're
even
still
though one
learning
of the characters
more
has
and more.
disappeared.
Well, here, I mean, it's like I said, we'll have a Tenzin side story or a Mako side story, and Mako's will kind of tie into the plot just very slowly, and you sort of feel like you're not learning that much, but it's sort of like the Harry Potter movies. Oh, we'll spend all this time on one tiny detail that you'll discover. And then Tenzin's stories, I mean, okay, a little character development, but it has nothing to do with the story.
Well, that's another thing where it's like we get all these promises, like when his daughter saw the statue.
Yeah.
Wow, what is this? We still haven't gotten back to that. And I thought that was the whole point of Tenzin being there, was to do that, and instead it became about training lemurs, and they're all cool side stories, but
they're fun.
What happened with the statue?
Yeah, the only thing really, I mean, I would say bringing me back to this would probably be just seeing the side characters be themselves. The story is not really grabbing me, and the main character's not grabbing me.
Maybe that'll change now that they're
maybe
remolding her.
Right, literally from the ground up, she wakes up.
I did want to bring up something else. Well, what was your thought? You finished first.
No, I was pretty much. I was going to give away a spoiler from Gravity, but I'm not going to.
Oh, yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay.
So I was asking last episode, I was like, can somebody explain to me what the Republic's about? Because I didn't know. And
did you have a bunch of people like, I will tell you exactly what the Republic's about?
Yes. First off, thanks for all the answers. I think it's cool. Important tip, though. Feel free to read the comments first, and if 90 people have already answered, you don't need to answer, because it was like mostly people explaining the Republican. I mean, that's
It's
cool.
the emotion of the internet. It's the, I can tell him before checking to see if there's a
shit, 90 people answered. So the general thrust I got was this was based off of Aang, Zuko, Katara, your original group, were trying to figure out what to do with all the colonists, because you had Fire Nation colonists and Earth colonists and this and that. And it was to give them a place where they could all live together in peace. So it's a separate entity.
Is this like a spin-off of the Promise comic?
Yes.
That's kind of cool.
That is the other thing. So, and people are just like, what? You haven't read the comics? No, actually, I've read The Promise. I've not read all of them. So they're just starting to talk about, like, they haven't come up with the solution yet by the end of The Promise. And there's 2 more to go, so... But I read them, somebody's like, well, there was this whole extra episode thing in the beginning of season 1. I'm like, I got it off of, like, Amazon. I was watching it on demand or something. I must have missed that, because I don't remember that explanation.
Season 1 of what, Korra?
Yeah. Was there some sort of, somebody who's like, well, there was a special episode or something at the beginning that...
I'll be very honest, I was in it to see shit blow up, so I wasn't paying much attention to the politics. They might have, I don't know.
They may have explained it. I have noticed that, like, because I've DVR'd this stuff, I've watched it on demand, I've watched it via Amazon Prime, there are actually differences, and it's the same thing with Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow will cut things about backstory and stuff when you watch it on demand versus DVR'd and stuff.
That's interesting.
So I don't know what happened there. Maybe they missed that. So maybe that got dropped from the version I saw. But yeah, I don't remember that explanation. But so I've got the explanation now. So it is like a 5th nation, as far as I can gather. You've got the 4, earth, water, you know, all that, and then there's this 5th, which is this sort of collection of, like, colonists and stuff, and, you know, so the point being,
yes, I was waiting for that.
The point being, so I was asking, why wouldn't the president get involved? Because if it's kind of like the UN or whatever, isn't this in his jurisdiction? Well, thanks to you guys, I know that the answer is no. It's totally not. If he wants to get involved, he's literally getting involved in someone else's war, and he has no real jurisdiction. You're just...
But that's freedom.
Yeah, it's very... It would be very Bush, just like, I like what you're all doing here. So
we're just we're gonna solve this problem.
No, I mean, it wouldn't stop us, but is that morally right? So my only point is...
About as much as going to the mafia for help.
Yeah. Well, that's my point.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's my point. So my point is this. This makes Korra's and Iroh's decision so much crazier. I mean, so much fucking insane that it just blows my mind away. It's like, okay, so technically this isn't a president being corrupt and saying, well, it's not in our jurisdiction or whatever, even though it totally is. This is General Iroh and Korra trying to start a war with another independent nation, and he was totally on board with this. Totally just like, oh yeah, Korra, you want to start a war? I'm totally fine with this. Until the president himself is just like, yeah, you would be branded a traitor. That's called insurrection. And like, he's like, oh, sorry, Korra, I guess my hands are tied. I can't start a war.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line is someone's being a major insane douche. and that's it just happens to be our supposedly likable main character.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this season is characters to me are just making inexplicable decisions. I know people are like, well, his mother and father's at stake. It's just like, I love my parents very much. I would have to think hard if I'm going to be like, I'm going to start a war over mom and dad.
Like, I hope they're not watching.
No, I would, I'm like, maybe I would do it, but it wouldn't be something that I'm just like, got it, war. Like, I would be sitting there thinking about this for a few days, like, huh.
Well, and bottom line, I'll say this before we wrap up here.
And then you're right, the mafia thing, like, where it's just like, what do we do? Let's go to the mafia. I'm like,
we couldn't trust the mafia? What the hell? But, I mean, the one thing, like, you're going on about the Republic, how's the Republic works, what's the president's jurisdiction and stuff like that.
I was just curious.
Well, no. Honestly, my thought, it's the same thing with, like, The Dark Knight Rises. Everyone's like, oh, you're just focusing too much on the plot points and the stuff that doesn't make sense.
And the plot points are the basis of a story.
Well, no. Here's the thing: is that, like, you know, we can watch Star Wars or a bunch of or Indiana Jones, a lot of this other stuff where there's a million things, or like the X-Men cartoon where half the politics doesn't make any sense, but the focus and the enjoyment is so entertaining and so gripping that you don't question it. That's when you think about, so wait a minute, there's blah blah blah. You know what? Who cares? I'm loving it so much.
And when you don't do that right, you get the Phantom Menace.
Well, I'm saying that when you don't have the focus there, you do think more and more about, well, wait, you think more about the problems than you do what's good about it. You think more about what's wrong about it than you do what's good about it. And again, I think that just has to be, it's got to be the main story, it's got to be the main character, and you just, at least it sounds like we're going to try something different with the main character, thank God, but, let's get the main story interesting too. Bring in the spirits! Spirits! That's what it's fucking called!
That trailer, I swear, was like 90% spirits, and I've only seen them like in the pilot and occasionally like this.
I want to see this spirit world, and it's just a fucking cocktail. They should have called it, Let's Go Korra cocktease. That's all it is.
You know what? Don't Google that online. I don't want to imagine. Don't do a Google image search. I think the only thing is, I mean, you're right. You can pick apart plot points if you enjoy it that much, but I don't even give Star Wars a free pass. Some of the things I don't like about, like, A New Hope are the same issues I have with Korra. I'm like, Luke is kind of whiny, and like, I like Luke much better when he starts getting it together in Empire and Jedi, and I mean, then people
I'm
still
talking about, like, why didn't they cover up the hole in the Death Star, and why don't they destroy that planet in front of them and then destroy all, whatever the rebel planet. I mean, like, little dumb things like
I could write a book about the plot holes, but
yeah,
it's not that there's plot holes, it's that for the most part, the character motivations in Star Wars make sense. There's a few things that are kind of odd, but I don't, like this one, it's when you have characters doing certain sets of things, and this is the problem a lot of people have with the prequels. They're like, well, the characters in the prequels seem really different from the characters, even the ones that are supposed to be the same. So, I mean, that is an issue. Like, and after the first season, I feel like, I'm like, are these the same characters? It's either like the first season didn't happen, or they all woke up with amnesia, or, and the plot points just don't make sense. I'm like, this doesn't seem like the same character from season 1 who was all about, bringing people together, doing this and that, and it's not like, I'm going to start a war, or I'm a cop, I'm going to go to the mafia, or Mako's actually at least made a little more sense to me because I think he suspects those other cops are corrupt.
Yeah,
so he's like, well, maybe. But even then, I didn't think it was a very brilliant point.
And I'll say this, we love what we call it, the alliance of convenience. Yeah, where it's like good guys and bad guys have to come together to go after a greater foe and stuff like that. But I think this is a little different because it's very much, hey, you're still gonna stay, bad guys. It's not like this is the only choice. I really feel like the choices they're making are not the only choices, especially for peaceful people. For people who are trying to, the whole focus is to keep balance and peace.
Well,
they're going to the worst people in the world.
Yeah, I think I turned to you and I was like, it just fascinates me how for the way the first Avatar show was all about morals and ethics and trying to find some in-between to maintain inner harmony and peace, this one is like, drop my morals at the drop of a hat. You got it.
And to get rid of the Fire Lord, he'd go to the Mafia, I'm sure. Sure, Avatar, accidents will happen.
Oh yeah, I can ring that for you one day. You know what, we'll just put a giant bucket of water above his door and spill on him. Next thing they melt, right? Like the witches in the Wizard of No. Okay,
maybe that wasn't the best route, but regardless, you get our point. So,
yeah.
We rambled on long enough. Enjoy looking up your Korra cocktease. Take care.